All right, now the second thing on the steel strike. What do you know about steel? Is Abel going to win, or McDonald, or what's going to happen?
That's going to be very close, and as I told you originally, I think you and I and we all have to stay out of that one, because we can only get burned, and we can't make a contribution. I think that as of now, the thing is very close, and the outcome will depend almost entirely upon how effectively each side mobilized their support in terms of getting them out to vote. You could go either way, and I think that delaying their negotiations after this thing is determined makes a great deal of sense. Because you can't really have people at the bargaining table who are engaged in an all-out political war meeting their responsibilities. Therefore, I think getting that delayed was a very good move.
All right. Now then, what more can I do or should I do in your judgment on the steel thing, and particularly with the steel prices and the steel owners?
Well, I think that...
you know, it's a it's a low profit industry. They're way down, although they're up from last year, but...
they're up because they've had high volume.
That's right. They're 26% profits over last year, but 26% of one, just 26, you see. And it's not like 26% of 10 or something, but it's better. But they claim that their lead's gone up and everything else has gone up, and they have just made some marginal increases where they were required to keep from losing money. That's their story. Now, I think I probably got to listen to it if they want to, but I guess I just got to urge them, for God's sakes, to not raise any prices, and of course they probably will, won't they?
Well, I would hope, if I were in your position, I would have my people in the Commerce Department and people from the Council of Economic Advisors sitting down with their technicians and going over the details of how they justify the increases in these areas, which cover about 12% of their production. And I would keep the heat on, hoping that you could minimize the number of items in which the price increase was applied. And I think if that heat is kept on, they probably will keep it down to a minimum, and I think you can get away with that. I can understand your desire to avoid a head-on collision like Kennedy had. I don't think that would be desirable. But I think unless you keep maximum heat on, and I think the way to do that is to have your technical people saying, we'd like to know why you justified this increase. What are the facts? And so that they will know that if they contemplate extending the price increase to additional items, that you will require them to justify those increases. I think if that's done, you will keep enough pressure on so that they will minimize the spread of this thing. And I think if we can minimize the spread of it, you can live with it.
All right. Now, that's my idea, and that coincides with what my economic people think and what Connor thinks.
Well, I think it would be good if after the technical people from Commerce and the Council of Economic Advisors and the other people, that you could sit down with a fellow like Joe Block and a couple of those fellows. Joe Block was, I think, very helpful in the earlier problem with Jack Kennedy, and I think he's a responsible person.
He was. Of course, he kicked us off.
I know he did. I'm aware of that. Yeah. But I still think that if you sat down with Joe Block and a couple of people like that, very quietly, no fanfare, I think it might be very helpful.
All right. Now, we've got some gimmicks in this budget that you don't know about.
Hello? How are you, Mr. President?
Fine. I'm sorry we've been missing you. You have a big trip in Canada?
Yeah, we're having difficulty getting connected here on the weekend.
Yes. I was having a little dinner Tuesday night. You know, like we had with the businessmen and labor and school teachers and doctors and a few of them. I thought if you didn't interfere too much with your schedule, you might run down.
Well, anytime I get an invitation from you, nothing interferes with my schedule, you know.
You're mighty nice. It's 7:30 Tuesday night, and you might come a little early if you want to, 5 o'clock or some, 5:30, and talk to Jack Valenti and Marvin Watson. We can have a little drink before we go in. I don't want to get mixed up in any of your problems or negotiations or interfere with you, but we could say howdy before the dinner, and we're going to have, I guess, 100 at the dinner, and I guess there'll be 15, 20, maybe 30 labor people.
Uh-huh. Well, certainly be pleased, no end to be down.
Arthur Goldberg's going to be there, and of course,
good.
Bill Wirtz will be there, and we'll probably have Maxwell Taylor there to talk a little bit about our war situation. And then at the dinner, we'll have pass the cigar box and let a few of them draw tickets, and some of them get a ticket to talk or to ask questions. They can ask questions. The others can write us a letter what they think.
Now you suggest I come down about 5:30, say?
Yeah,
about
yeah,
5:30?
yeah.
Just come in the front way?
Yeah, just what I know what I'd do, I'd come in Southwest Gate. Southwest Gate, and we'll tell them, and I'd just tell them I was going to see Jack Valenti, and I'd go in and see Jack Valenti and tell them at the gate not to give any publicity to it, because if they do, they'll think I'm calling you in to try to interfere or lecture you, or you lecture me or something, and they'll puff it up. And I'd let them know, and I wouldn't keep it a secret I was coming to dinner.
Yeah.
I just say that we have dinners off and on all the time, and that ever since Johnson's been in, he's visited with the leaders of business and labor, and we just get them all together and they talk. And this time, you understand, we're going to be talking about Vietnam.
Yeah.
Just so it doesn't interfere with you. I don't want the employers to think I'm trying to twist your arm.
Well, it won't interfere there. We've been plugging away, In fact, we met until 1 o'clock today. But, God, I think it'd be much easier in the dentistry than it would be trying to pull teeth with them, It's rugged.
Well, you work it out.
We're plugging at it.
You work it out. Arthur Goldberg tell me that you're the best, and I haven't got any worries. I think we may have some troubles, but you'll work it out some way.
Well,
We got hell in Los Angeles today.
Oh, God, isn't that awful out there?
What do you think I ought to do?
Well, I think someplace along the way, there's people going to have to be talked to. They'll settle down eventually, but God, it seems awful that they have to pay a price like they're paying to get this out of their system. But I'm sure I tell people that, I remember back in 37 when our boys were a little wild too, but they settled down. Maybe you have some rough times, but that's good.
Well, we just have to say to these young Negroes that they got obligations as well as rights, and we fought like a devil to get them their rights, and we're going to continue to, and we want them to be responsible now.
They've got to assume some responsibility now.
Nobody's done more in your union to help them either.
That's right. Still, we get the devil from once in a while,
Yeah.
But I hate to see a thing like that out in Chicago, too. My God, all that Mayor Daley has done, and the Chicago people.
He's been a good friend of yours, too.
Oh, yes.
They tried to get me to talk to him against you, and of course I didn't even mention it to him, but he was a good friend of yours that told me that, and he's a good man. He's a good man, too. They're doing him wrong.
Man we got.
They're doing him wrong. I think he's one of the best political leaders in this country.
That's for sure. But it's just one of those things I guess we pay for making progress, People get new rights and privileges, then they've got to learn how to handle them and measure up to their responsibilities. It'll happen, but it's gonna be some hardship. We'll do all we can. Anything we can do to help. God, don't hesitate to holler.
Oh, but you've done more. Your outfit's done more to help us than anybody, and I'm awfully grateful. And I'll see you Tuesday night, and I haven't got anything in the world why you should come early. If it's an inconvenience, you can stay over and see you the next morning. But I would, wait just a minute, Vicky. What I'd do if I were you, I'd come down 5:30, 6 o'clock if it's convenient. Just come in and see Valenti, and then we'll sit around, and any questions you want to raise or I want to raise, we can talk about, and then we'll go to dinner together a little later.
That would please me no end.
Thank you a lot.
I'll be there.
Thank you a lot.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President.